Well, I actually discovered the party when I was 18, and my next door neighbor is Tom Hayden, and his wife took me to a rally the day that Huey was being released from prison. And I had never, of course I'd heard of the Black Panther Party, but I'd never been to any rallies. And this was a rally outside the courthouse steps, and Huey was released, and he was this iconic man on top of his Volkswagens. So we went to this crowd. There were thousands out there, and it was a joyous event. So about 6 months later, I came home from college. It was very shortly after that rally. I packed up and went to Oregon away to college, and came back that December, and it was when my mother let me know that Huey was Huey was coming over for lunch. And that's the first time that I met Huey, and I went back to college, packed my things, and came back. And a couple of months later started working in the school. It was a school for Black Panther Party member children. And so I started working in the school and started working with the Black Panther Party at that time. I was 19 years old. The Black Panther Party, the average member was 19 years old. There was even a member of the party that was 15. That wasn't atypical. And it's because youth are innovative. They have the courage and the energy and the time, and aren't encumbered by family most of the time. And the brilliance, and haven't been beat down by life. Are courageous in a way that is what's needed in leading a revolution, leading revolutionary organizations. That's the way we were. We weren't atypical. In the Black Panther Party, the average age was 19. 27 was old. I remember somebody was 24, and I thought, oh my God, she's kind of old. It was the first time that I'd been committed to anything. I was raised in anything meaningful. I was raised by a family who were activists. I was raised by, my parents met in a Communist Party organizing meeting. And so we used to laugh and say that we could march before we learned to walk. And like many children, I rebelled against everything that my parents did. So I was interested in beauty pageants and clothes and not anything political at all. And it was when I when I met these children in this party school, and I saw the other things, I saw what the Black Panther Party was doing with feeding the children, Breakfast for Children program. I think that's where my first love. And then I started to work with a clinic that was being constructed. We were actually building this clinic in Berkeley. I became alive with conviction, and the camaraderie helped of other people who had just a passion and a love for the community and for the people. It was contagious. So it's when I began to step outside of my own small life that I created into something larger, and found the joy in service, love and service, which is what I think was really the backbone of the Black Panther Party. No. No. We were definitely in the moment. We were definitely, I don't think we had any idea, because we were so involved in the day-to-day tasks of working in these survival programs that there was no thought given to the international impact, really, that what we were doing was creating. We could definitely see it in the newspapers, but we were definitely in the moment, nor did we give any much thought to, even though 28 members of the Black Panther Party were murdered, and we knew that that was ever present, that possibility, we still remained committed to what we were doing. So I don't think that we gave much thought to how iconic this movement would be, nor did we give a whole lot of thought to the fact that we might not live to see another day. It was just the culture of the organization and the work that we were doing, and the commitment that we had taken to do the work. So as you can imagine, it was a very intense time. A lot of work. There was no work-life balance, whatever you call it. We just worked. We did the work. I left before the party ended. I left to go back to school in 1973. And I can tell you that those months before I went back to school, there were several, it might have even been a year. Before I went back to school, I felt kind of untethered because I had been in such a protected and committed environment. You know, when you work side by side with people that you know will die for you, I don't think that there's anything that can parallel that in your life. And so there was a period of time where before I went away to school and finished college in Connecticut, but before I went away, it was definitely a period of trying to figure it all out. There were a lot of years in between those years and when I co-founded this foundation with David Hilliard. Huey, there's a lot of life in between there. That was 73, and we're talking about 93, 20 years later when I started the foundation with David. Huey and I were married. I had a child. We were married. He was murdered. And it was a few years later that he was murdered in August 22nd of 1989. And we started this foundation in 1993. And I think what prompted, I never thought that I would. I think there were many archives that had been left to me after Huey died. And it was at that time really discovering the vast amount of material that was there, and the fact that so much of that material wasn't available to the public, that we decided that it was important to make sure that this history was promoted, that this history wasn't revised, and so that's what prompted, one of the things that prompted the founding of this foundation. Well, I've never been to so many meetings in my life. I'm kind of grateful for this time of sheltering in place because thank God for technology. We have a lot of meetings on Zoom. And I'd say that it's a full-time job. The initiatives that we're working on currently are, we've just been able to change the name of the street where Huey Newton took his last breath to Dr. Huey P. Newton Way. There's no street named after any Black Panther Party member anywhere. And there's nothing in this town of Oakland, which is the birthplace of the Black Panther Party, as you know, that tells that history in any kind of way, other than murals that individuals have painted. So this will be the first in the step to have the Black Panther Party recognized here in its birthplace. We're also, in February, we have a sculpture of Huey that will be placed on Mandela Boulevard and Dr. Huey P. Newton Way. We already have started the process. Dana King is the artist. The Black Panther Party newspapers were in publication for 14 years. We want to make sure that those newspapers are available for public. Right now they are digitized, but they're not indexed so that people can research this organization, this movement, and make it available to the public. That's another initiative. We also have done a call for artists. We want a monument built to commemorate the legacy and history of this party. At the very place where I mentioned earlier where Huey was released. It's at the county steps, the county courthouse steps. There's a triangular piece of land. We've already claimed that to be our sacred land, and that's where this monument will be. And last but absolutely not least, we want a Black Power museum for the people right here in Oakland, where all of the history of the Black Panther Party can be in one place. Thousands of people come here every year looking and searching for some history, something about this Black Panther Party. People go to our archives at Stanford are one of the largest and most researched archives at Stanford University. And there's absolutely no reason why we don't have a museum that can house that history in all forms, in interactive forms, in ways that I can't even articulate, or so that it'll captivate the imagination of the youth. And that's why we're so busy.